Nigeria Diaspora Television is at the University of Johannesburg at the Chinua Achebe Hall in the library building, where we have just concluded a great discussion about bridging the gap between Nigerian women and South African women, and we looked at it from a women's perspective.
And so part of seeking self-knowledge then, part of seeking this self-understanding requires of us to dialogue, to hold such conversations as would build ourselves, would build our communities. And so when we received the request to partner over this event, in partnership too with divisions of transformation here at the university, as well as the library, our great hosts this afternoon. Thank you, thank you. An event that seeks to promote women, to promote women's interaction, to promote women's interaction towards a sisterly union, in particular between South Africa and Nigeria. We in the division were, of course, excited, but not only were we excited, we welcomed this as part of our remit proper. And so this afternoon, colleagues, I am pleased to be able to welcome you to this session and this panel, to listen to this conversation, and to invite you to participate in the conversation, to make it truly your own, a conversation that I am sure is going to be well and truly fruitful, well and truly engaging. Welcome.
It is a privilege for me to take part in this dialogue, and just as a form of introduction, I'm the founder and the conceptualizer of the Sisterhood of the Red Scarf from the Thembekile Mandela Foundation. And I'm first and foremost an African woman, and I'm the voice for the voiceless people of the plight of the rural woman, which is the majority of the work that we do at the foundation. I couldn't but resist to draw from the wise word of my late grandfather when he says, I quote, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we've lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead." I am therefore a woman, and I'm African, I'm proud of it, but there are a number of challenges that as African women we face in the continent and globally. And this discussion could not have come at an appropriate time.
It's such a privilege to be on this panel, as one of the panelists. Like before myself and my very good friend, Noye, we've been discussing on ways to collaborate with the South African counterparts, especially the females. And it's an honor to be here today. They usually say, when you train a girl, you've trained a nation. And most especially Nigeria as a country and South Africa as a country, we are the two powerful countries in Africa. And if both of us are not collaborating, then we will have problem in Africa, and then other African women that are looking up to living a good life will have a whole lot of challenges.
My name is Nonya. It's an Igbo Nigerian name. My middle name is Umpo. It's a South African Sutu name. My mother is Sutu, and I'm married to a Nigerian, so my surname is Omotola. So I'm actually a living proof that there is collaboration between Nigerian and South African, whether it's male or female. I'm here with my sisters here to talk about what it is to be an African woman first and foremost, and how our role is so important on the continent. As Boki has said, we come from the two largest economies. By matter of fact, I also have an initiative called Beautiful Flowers, and Beautiful Flowers focuses on young girls and teaching them etiquette. We all know that our young girls sometimes get influenced by the wrong factors due to some of the challenges that Ndebeka has mentioned, poverty, lack of infrastructure, lack of money, lack of school fees. So they then get enticed to do some of the things that we know that they shouldn't be doing. And we know that as we were raised, we were told not to do.
Nigerian women in South Africa need to come out more. I think South African women need to embrace them. There's so many problems in South Africa that women can help to reduce. There's so many problems in Nigeria. I remember when the girls were stolen, and there's so many people, South African women marching. People like Rosie Motene, Sikima's wife, were marching to the Nigerian consulate. And they were asking me, Adetunji, where are all the Nigerian women? I said, I think I know where they are. Let's go to church. We'll find it free. They pray a lot. So we've got to really work together. And I think the biggest thing where we can start, because everybody loves money, right? So we start from working on the basis that we do business together. I know there's a Nigerian friend of my wife. She has a store with a South African lady and also a Zambian lady, and they're doing very well. They've opened in Menlyn, they've opened in Parkers. So those are examples. Nano and my wife, they're very close. And I always say, oh, you're so close, you're like sisters. And you know, they work together, they cry together, and they try and climb the corporate ladder very quickly together. So yeah, Nano, welcome. So yeah, those are some of the things. Two big countries, 223 million people, so much in common. We drive Africa. South Africa is a regional behemoth. In SADC, Nigeria is a regional behemoth, but the largest population in Africa. So we have more women than South Africa. So, and even South African men, we will invite you to Nigeria to come and chase the girls there. Because the girls, some of them, it's not easy to find men because the men are already covered. Yeah, there's not enough men. Good men. So yeah, so that's the theme. Let sisters work together. We see in America, there's talk about Black Girls Rock. You know, we see Oprah Winfrey, we see a friend, Maya Angelou, like very close. We see, what's Oprah's friend's name? Gail. She's not as rich as Oprah. But these ladies know their history. And for the South African women, if you look at the history of 1959, the march to South Africa, going to Pretoria to march. If you look at the great women legends of Winnie Madikizela Mandela, I talked about Fela Kuti's mother. We must learn our history, embrace each other. There's enough food in Africa to go around everybody. We have diamonds, we have gold, we have oil, we have bauxite, we have copper in Zambia, we have manganese, we have lithium, we have everything. But the only problem is when we start fighting each other, the Caucasians from Europe were coming, the Chinese were coming, and they would dominate. So that's really the theme. Let's work together, let's promote our women, and let's make sure that we don't talk about the negatives.
One of the big things that I've picked up from an arts, culture, and media point of view is that great strides have been done, but the biggest change, of course, has to happen at a cultural level. One of the biggest differences that I saw making a difference between the understanding of our cross-border relations was cross-border productions. We've seen great strides happen from the music industry, where there's been a lot of openness to North African music, and South Africans have, you know, leapt it up like a rash, you know, and that on its own has already started to crack any misunderstandings between the different cultures. From a production point of view, we saw a big difference with Jacob's Cross, but unfortunately it was a very elitist production that could only be accessed by a few in our society who had DSTV. I think one of the biggest achievements that we can do, and I'm glad we're starting to have cross-border media platforms, you know, is those productions that show, you know, interrelational relations between South Africans and Nigerians at a very cultural and social levels, you know. I mean, reality shows are a big thing now, you know, productions, you know, soapies are a big thing now. I saw Mobango, they introduced the Nigerian character for a few weeks, and that broke a lot of mental barriers. And I think if we start introducing more characters into our storylines and into our productions, and even our news, our journalists, you know, we'll start seeing a big shift in perceptions. Thanks.
I'm a final year law student here at UJ. My question is particularly for Sis Ndilega Mandela. You know, I see you on Instagram. You are this yoga-loving, fashion-loving woman, but then on the other side, you are this proud Xhosa woman. And I always pride myself in my culture. Right now, I'm coming from law clinic, but I had to make sure that it's Heritage Month. I need to look the part. And so I want to know, how do you marry these two women? This woman from Ekunu, and then this woman who's a powerhouse on her own. How do you marry these two women? Especially, you are a CEO and a founder of a foundation. I also run a mini foundation. It's not registered or anything. It's in the Eastern Cape. It assists kids from rural areas apply to universities as well as apply for funding. So my thing is, how do you marry these two women? Because as a woman, you get attached to certain situations. How do you now marry and say, no, I can't be too involved in this? And how do you how do you balance it all as a woman?
So I grew up with that mindset that you have got to be grounded in who you are and not subscribe to the outside influence. It's very hard. You know, as growing up as a young person, it's very hard. It's very easy to succumb to peer pressure of becoming one of the crowd. And for me, it is, you know, somebody sent me something yesterday saying that a rose does not mind if it's called a thorn, because it is being true to itself. As long as you are true to yourself, be grounded in who you are. Because if you're not a grounded person, you can be swayed in whichever way. That's why I can live from your Instagram person to a person that will be able to wear umbato and be comfortable with it, or just walk barefoot.
What came out very strongly is that fundamentally, you know, we have strong attributes and we can definitely learn from each other. What was perhaps a bit of a letdown is that up until now, a discourse like this has not happened. And it is important for this dialogue to continue. And as you correctly pointed out when you arm wrestled me to become part of this panel, is that women's issues need to extend beyond Women's Month, because it's issues that we deal with on a daily basis. Certainly, there's a lot to learn from a Nigerian woman, and Nigerian women have a lot to learn from us. And I've said that everything in life is about balance, and that balance we can learn symbiotically from one another, because Nigerian women has their strong attributes, we have our strong attributes, and if we marry these two together, because Nigeria and South Africa are both powerhouses. Somebody once said to me, if you turn Africa on its side, South Africa becomes where the bullet comes out and Nigeria becomes the trigger.
South Africa is the nozzle and...
Yes, it's the trigger, it's the trigger.
Right.
So these countries should, in essence, work together, because together in West Africa and South Africa, we can, you know, unite South Africa as such to become the powerhouse that it's meant to be.